Hey guys, it's Jim Bounds at Motorhome Rehab Ranch. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. At the end of this, if you'd comment, I had one ranch hand say, I've never had somebody ask me for a comment before I heard the video. I agree with that. I'm just letting you know that at the end, don't just go to the next one. Tell me what's happening. This summer, I've had a lot of calls about new folks buying motorhomes. And of course, what we all want is to buy a coach that you walk to and you turn it on and you give the man money and you drive away and you have a wonderful experience, right? That's what we want. But I can't tell you that that always is going to happen. And when you're working with something that's 50 years old, you really don't know, okay? Even on a coach, just some guy wants, a fair amount of money, $20,000, $30,000. Even with a coach like that, you need to be prepared for what's going to happen. But let's talk for a second about a coach, and there's a lot more of them showing up that have been neglected for a little bit or sat in the back. Because these, when you get one of these, it's like having a baby with diapers. You have to spend an amount of time with it. And if you don't, it will break. Or even worse, it'll get where it won't run anymore, and then you can't use it, you lose interest, and it sits. This is the problem with a lot of sellers. And you've got to understand that everything goes through the bell curve of life. You buy a GMC or anything, you get all excited about it, you find all its limits, you use it, you do as much as you can, then you kind of get a little bored with it, or you see some new shiny toy or something and you go somewhere else. And this thing starts to lower in interest to the point that you decide to sell it. So there's where the seller's at. Now the buyer looks at this and says, wow, that thing has been sitting for 2 years, maybe more, but it's all there. But God, it's going to be a lot of work. Yeah, it is. That's why you're buying them. You're looking at a core value. The core value is $10,000 and under. Right? Now, I would say that if you can buy a coach that say is not running, or that needs some help to go to your place, that always, and I talked about this on another video, always transportation costs on a lower cost vehicle is a consideration, an initial consideration, and you can't feel bad about that because you know that you're paying below for something that should be working. You know that. Okay, so you know that going in. So the transportation cost will be something to consider, whether it's to take it and put it in a spot and literally move down with a sleeping bag and living with it for a couple of weeks and getting it operational to drive it. That's happened. And you've seen that. I've done some of that. Or it's that you tow it. All right? It's one of the two. All right? The first one has a little bit of risk because you did 10 things, but it's the 11th thing that fails to drive it. So when you buy a coach that's under $10,000, you are taking a pretty good risk to drive it home, unless it's 10 miles. And you may want to consider towing it. You say, every one of them? Well, here's the thing. If you buy it for under $10,000, figure that that extra money is going to be in the transportation costs, okay? Because to get it to your place the way it is so you can work on it and to build it up, your intention isn't to just have it worth, less than $10,000. Your intention is to put money into it, put time and labor and love into it. And this is a raw material. Now, it's always, you can buy one that's already done, and they're always a very, very good deal. But if you want it all yourself, buying one that's already done is kind of a waste of time because you got to throw away all the stuff that's the value. So if you want something special yourself, You want to build it. I went through all that. A core is a great thing to get as long as the frame is good. And one of the things you want to look for is its provenance. If you watch the Antiques Roadshow, you want to know where it's been, who's dealt with it, how much time and energy did they put in it, when was the last time it was driven, when was the last time it was started, that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you a coach right now. I'm going to show you some pictures of a coach that is in this category. All right. It needs some help, but it's a worthy adversary, as you'd say. All right. So come on in here. Let me show you something. Here's a picture of a coach. This is a 73. Okay. Now, I have known this coach for a good 15, 20 years. The man that owned it obviously didn't really do anything to the exterior because it looks blue. And his idea was, that's his security. That's right. That's his security because it's so ugly that nobody would mess with it. But he had many, many extras put in this coach, and it looked like this all the time. He coined the name, you know, you name your coaches. This was named the Blue Turd. Yes, I know. But it really stood out when he drove it to the shop for service because everything else was working hard to look really good, and he wanted it to keep looking just like this. Now, it's a very styled picture, and when you see a coach, by the way, if you ever want to buy a car, never look at it at sunset. Everything looks good. Now, this is a 1973. It's 50 years old. Here, let's pull the veil off and let's see what we're looking at. Oh, yes. This is a 1973 Glacier. Glacier because it's blue. It matches the blue of the Glacier. In the early years, they named them after national parks, you know, Canyonland and what have you. This was a Glacier. This coach was originally the MSO, in other words, the manufacturer sales order, was south of the Mason-Dixon line because there are 2 roof airs. It was plumbed for 2 roof air conditioners. All right. Now, this coach has sat for about 3 years. It will run. And if you wanted to fly down, work on it with your own tools, my guess is it would mechanically drive where you wanted to go, but it's going to take a little bit of work right now. You could tow it. You could have it on a Landau or a lowboy, and you could tow it. The towing is going to be, retail is about $3 a mile. You figure it's about $1 a mile to drive, or $3 a mile to have it towed. So if you were to drive it, you would still have X amount of dollars in gas and all that kind of stuff. But it's still going to cost you to get home about 1/3 of what it would cost to have it towed. So think about that. Rather than sitting out in the Florida sun, by the way, this coach is actually in Orlando. But rather than sitting out in the Florida sun making this thing run, you could tow it home. All right, well, let's talk about this. This coach is $6,500. That's right, well under $10,000. All right, well, let's look at this coach a minute. Let's see and compare this to other coaches you see that are what you would call a core or a coach that needs some love. All right, this coach had, like I pointed out before, it has 2 roof air conditioners. It does not have a ladder, but look, it has a rail. What's that about? He would carry a ladder with him, and that's his security. Nobody's going to go up there. It's hard to get up there to kind of mess with stuff. So you got an ugly motorhome with a bunch of stuff on the roof that you can't get to. He never had anybody break in. Original rims, and if you see, they're gray. They're not white or blue or anything. These were rims These were original 16.5-inch rims, new, that he had put on. These are radial rims. Now, that's most probably a non-radial rim, but he spent some time there. Also, if you can tell, let me see another picture. He has, well, let me go back. He has a quad vac system on it right there. You can see. All right. All right. Now, another thing that he has on that thing, he has a Honda water-cooled generator in it. Yep. I wish I could have 100 more of those. That was a wonderful generator in its time. And if you have one, to maintain it is a breeze. There's all kinds of gurus that can help you with that. But yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Now, the coach is in absolutely, you would call it frightful original condition. That's original stripes and stuff. And chances are you could wash this thing and you'd have blue come off of it. The first couple of years was acrylic enamel. After 74, the 75 models were Imron. All right. Let's see. Oh, you had to see this. The steering wheel is sticky. That's because the adhesion inside the rubber is leaching out. So the steering wheel is original, frightfully original, to the point that it's perfectly in place and deteriorating. It's amazing. Now look at this. There's an 8-track tape deck in there, gentlemen. We may want to call the Smithsonian. So this thing is in really original, frightfully condition. Another thing it's got, if you look down here below, it has the 75 air conditioning upgrade to make the 73 air conditioning work like a 75, 76 with the vent underneath. So chances are that the air conditioner on this is going to work a lot better than an original 73. It has the original stove in it. I'll bet you can open this oven and the instructions will be in there. He never, ever cooked in this thing. He just had it in there, just if nothing more than just to fill the hole. So, I mean, if you're into it, you clean it up, and that's a artifact right there. So this motorhome, is not operational right now. And a lot of people will say, oh, it doesn't run, it doesn't, what, the ashtrays don't work, the cigarette lighter, yeah, it's no good. That's not true. This coach has a big value, because if you put a little bit of sweat equity in it and get it home, you look at what really nice motorhomes are built like. And if you want a coach that you want to build yourself, you say, well, how good's the motor? When you rebuild the motor, you absolutely know the quality of it. Now, this motor ran, chances are it'll run again. Water pump might leak shortly because the coach has been sitting. That happens on every engine, certainly every Oldsmobile for the last 25 years. If you let it sit for 3 or 4 years, the rubber seal, not the ceramic seal, but the rubber seal in the water pump wears out or gets hard. Start driving it, it'll leak. Happened to me too. Basic things are going to happen to these coaches. But if you go through the time, and after 50 years, I think everything in this coach should be touched, don't you? So if you're looking to, I used to call this the GMC the cheapest toy in the box. Because if you put your sweat equity in this, the money that it's going to cost you to bring this up to where you want it to be is far less than certainly buying something new. And you must understand, if you buy something that's 10 years old, a motorhome is designed for a 8-year lifespan. So if you go to buy a 10-year-old motorhome, yeah, you can buy one, $30,000, real nice one. But then your maintenance cost is through the roof, and it doesn't top out. You know, you replace everything. It starts to top out, and now your maintenance starts to go down. That will never top out. When you go finish this 50-year-old machine, it will top out, and your reliability will come back. So all the money you put into something like this from the ground up is going to be good money for you. Now, if anybody tells you that anything that has inflatable tires is an investment, well, you just hit them and run, because they're not. Okay, nobody made you look at a motorhome. Nobody made you say you have to take a vacation and that you're going to do it with a motorhome. That's your decision. Okay, and decisions sometimes can get a little costly. All right, anybody that says taking a trip in a motorhome is cheap, if you're prepared, it can be inexpensive on that run, but to prepare for it, you're going to have to put some money into it. It's just the case. All right, and when you're looking at something that's 50 years old, you're going to need to put some money in it. All right. This coach is available. $6,500 is absolute giveaway for this. An agreed value appraisal would start at $12,000 as that sits. If this is interesting to you, I said it is in Orlando, where I am, and I know the owner. Give me a call. I'll get you in touch with him, and I'll help you get this thing going, whatever you want to do. But this is the kind of thing you need to look for, and there are a lot of them around. You want to make sure the frame is good, and if all the parts are there like this thing, yeah, you should do it. You're going to get buyer's remorse and all that kind of stuff. But really, if the frame is good and it's under $10,000, in other words, you can get it home secure and safe where you want it to be to work on it for less than $10,000, buddy, you should do that. Here's one. Look, thanks for a little bit of time. I hope this helps you new buyers, and also you guys that have one of these for sale. Show that it's in a condition like this, and you're more apt to find somebody to buy it because they can see where it's going, that it fits. Don't use the word budget. Start with one of these and just go with it. Don't buy chrome-plated lug nuts and you know, that kind of stuff, and you'll do well. All right, well, look, thanks a lot. Hit like and share and all that. Ranch hands, thanks for coming. You guys that want to be prospective ranch hands, go to the front page. We'll see you next time.